Kansas City losing that game, the first game of the season to the Chargers, hurt the Eagles.
Let's get our friend Howard Eskin in here, who's been in many of those pits and has been around many of those type of questions asked to head coaches. I mean, first and foremost, what'd you make of the whole Jalen Carter mess?
He was stupid. He was out of control. He was irresponsible. Obviously, I mean, anybody's got to learn from that. He was embarrassed, so he's got to learn from that. And I'm sure the coach talked to him. I don't give a damn what he said, but in the point that you were trying to make, when a simple question is asked, and do you think he learned from, I'm paraphrasing, he learned from the situation? All you have to say is yes, and now we're moving on to the next game. That's all he has to say is yeah. He's not going to say no, because that would be a foolish answer, even if he believed it, and he obviously doesn't believe it. But to say, I'm going to keep our conversations private, he does that with so many things. There's a way to say something and kind of explain it without going into any kind of depth. He's a good guy. He's got a personality. He's smart. I think he's a very good coach. But to make himself look, and then the fans love him. They didn't love him last year, early in the season, when they wanted to fire him. But now he's the greatest thing since sliced bread, and he's a very good coach. But you can't defend that, And he says, "Well, I know you guys."
Are those marching orders, Howard?
I don't think they're marching orders, but I think he's advised from, I'll say, the PR person that handles him, basically to say nothing. It's going to come back to haunt you. No, it's not. Is the answer of yes going to come back to haunt you? No, because I don't think Jalen Carter is going to do it again. So I think it's his PR guy who's overly, 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 overly protective when he has him not say anything. And I think that's the problem. I don't think Howie Roseman gets involved in that. I mean, he gets involved in a lot of things, but not that. No, I think that, and now Nick has taken it. He's gone overboard with not saying anything. There's things you don't want to say. There's things you do say. And then there was a follow-up question. We're not asking you about his conversation, about your conversation with him. Do you think he learned his lesson? The simple answer would have been yes. And for the people to say, he said at the beginning of his comment, he says, yeah. And it was a yeah that he's trying to search for an answer, not a yes. He learned his lesson. So he's got to learn from, he's got to be better than that. It just, coaches don't say much anymore, which is kind of sad. The truth will set you free. And if the players are who you think they are, and they're good people and they're responsible people, and there's a culture there, hey, listen, parents scold their kids, and they understand that because they're your family. But so they will understand it if they are the players you think they are, and your team is who you think it is. They'll accept all that. Jalen Carter's not going to be offended by that.
Howard, don't you want to defend your culture, though? I mean, don't you Angelo thought they should do. Listen, I don't know where you stand on this, but my position was, I'm not suspending the player and sacrificing losing a ball game by not having my guy out there for Kansas City. However, I'm not going down that lane. He thought they should have suspended him another game.
Who's that?
Angelo thought that they should suspend him another game.
Well,
how would you have handled this?
No, I have two sides to that answer. Number one, it didn't matter to me that they would have suspended him another game. Now that's okay. But to say that his ejection basically counts as a suspension because he wasn't suspended, he doesn't lose a game check. So you lose a game check if you're suspended. Now, he was going to be fined, whether he was suspended or not, he was going to be fined. So he saved a game check. So it really wasn't a suspension by the league. But I don't care. Here's where I think that came down. The league the league wanted him to play. This is a premier game this weekend.
Right.
It's
Premier.
a Super Bowl rematch, and the NFL wants both teams at their best. So the NFL, if they were playing, let's say Carolina, a bad team, they're playing Carolina, he probably would have gotten suspended. But they're playing a late game, not the night game, but a late game, a rematch of the Super Bowl championship. And the NFL, I have no doubt, did not want the Eagles to be at a weakness for this game and for TV. Had nothing to do with Fox, or I guess Fox is doing the game. Had nothing to do with all that. The NFL, I shouldn't say all they care about. What they care about a lot is their money, their ratings, because they make more money. It's not the TV stations, I don't think, make more money. The NFL makes more money. So I think they didn't suspend him because they wanted both teams to be at their best, obviously excluding injuries. So no, I think the NFL wanted him there. Suspend him another game, it doesn't matter to me. Like I said, if they played a bad team, they probably would have, but he doesn't lose a game check. He was going to get fined either way.
So there's some conversation going around. Colin Cowherd was saying that there's rumors around that A.J. Brown is potentially on the block for trading. I mean, he was on a show yesterday. He was talking about him not getting some targets because they were double teaming him, what have you. I mean, the conversations about the passing game. I think the only reason why you didn't see a blow up a year ago is because there was a Lombardi trophy, or I think you would have. How do you think that relationship is? You think it's getting better, or do you think that's getting worse between Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown?
I think it's fine. I don't think it's I don't think it's better. I don't think it's worse. I think it was good. Even last year when AJ spoke out, and I got scolded by the public relations department for reporting what AJ said. Beautiful. Mind-boggling.
Scolded. That's great. I don't think so, but I get it.
I only reported what he said.
Yeah.
And he made a point because they won the next game, and he said, "Hey, listen, I wanted you guys to know that I said that for a reason. I think our offense had to get better. I think they're fine. I don't see a problem. I don't think he's on the trading block. I think that's you need something to talk about, so just kind of throw more bullshit out there, and that's what that is. You can't trade him." But I will say this. I think, and I'm not big on prop bets. Honestly, I don't bet. I pick games to raise money for charity.
Oh, they're going to overcorrect.
Well, yeah, I would take the over on receptions for A.J. Brown this weekend just to keep him happy. Because you don't want to go 2 games where he gets 1 catch. And Jalen tried to make him happy after the game by saying, that was one of the biggest plays of the game to catch that bet. Okay, fine. You want to keep him happy. Regardless of the reasons, regardless of the double team, Dallas did a good job. I think they're going to find a way. They're going to find a way to get AJ the ball a lot more. And I don't think he's on the trading block. He's still a very good receiver. I don't think there's any problems with he and Jalen Hurts. You throw to Dallas Goedert because obviously that's, whether it was a hot route or whether it was always open in the middle of the field. The short routes were always open with Goddard. So why not just take it? You're moving the ball forward. So why not just take that? But I think you're going to see, obviously, him, AJ, catch a lot of balls this week. But no, he's not on the trading block.
How about this? They have a propensity, don't they, to always overcorrect something. I mean, that they like to overcorrect. And you're right. I wouldn't doubt to see 14 targets, 7 catches, something like that.
Oh yeah, I think he'll get between 6 and 9 catches this week.
Right.
Yeah, and even with Kansas City, and that's the way Kansas City's going to have to win the game is with their defense. But I don't think they're going to give him anything big. But I think he's going to be more. He's going to have more targets, more involved. Not that he wasn't supposed to be involved in that game plan, but I think it's going to be a tough game for the Eagles, regardless of what AJ gets. I I've said this, and I think I may have said it last time I was on with you. Actually, it was before Kansas City lost. Kansas City losing that game, the first game of the season to the Chargers, hurt the Eagles. Check the percentage of teams that start the season 0-2. The percentage of making the playoffs decreases quite a bit.
0-3 is impossible almost.
Well, yeah, but this would be 0-2.
Yep.
And the percentages of being the number one seed really are like out the door. So to keep themselves in the game, even though it's only the second game of the season, I think the Eagles are a better team than Kansas City. I don't think Kansas City is one of the 5 best teams in the NFL right
I
now.
don't think they're the best team in the AFC West.
No, I think the Chargers may be.
Yeah.
So, but and Buffalo and Baltimore are both better than Kansas City. But if you go 0-2, you're really in trouble. So this is desperation and when teams are desperate, they do things that they normally wouldn't do. Andy Reid's a great coach. You don't have some dope as a coach. So he's going to do some things. It may surprise the Eagles in some way. But I think this is a really, really, really tough game for the Eagles. And at the beginning of the season, now I thought Kansas City would be better, but at the beginning of the season, I thought the Eagles would be 2-2, which they were last year, after 4 games. They would lose to Kansas City, and the 4th game is against Tampa. And Todd Bowles always does a great job in scheming against Jalen Hurts. So, but this game makes it worse because Kansas City lost. I think the Eagles are really in for a tough game, and honestly, I think Kansas City is going to win the game just because they're desperate. But it's not the end of the world for the Eagles. But it would be the end of the world and the end of a good season for Kansas City if they lose this game.
How about this one too, Howard? I made the point a couple minutes ago about Kevin Patullo. So he 4 targets to Devontae and AJ. And I mean, okay, so let me get this right. If we're going to go by what AJ said, they were doubled, okay? That means that Devontae was wide open. Somehow they couldn't. And Hurts missed 4 throws. I went back, watched the 22, and there was about 4 throws that Jalen missed. He took the ball, he pulled it down, and he took off. I thought he played a really good football game and some smart football, Jalen Hurts, to be able to win that game. You don't win the game if Hurts doesn't play that way. I mean, because Dallas showed up. They did. What'd you make of Kevin Patullo in his first game? Now, it's week 1. He's a brand new play caller, but boy, I'll tell you, I mean, it looked basic. It didn't look, I didn't think very good. They stopped the run game. So in that game, Dallas stopped the run game. They stopped Brown and they stopped Devontae.
You
That's
are
what
not
made it a fourth-quarter football game.
You are not a Kevin Patullo fan. I can tell that from day one.
Here's why.
I think he does a good job, and it's too easy to blame the coaches. And I don't know. You can't tell me that there were players open. First of all, when you start to scramble, the defense has to scramble too. Somebody had to be open. Somebody had to be open for you to scramble. And when you scrambled,
So you put that more on Hurts.
yeah, I put that more on Hurts. Yeah.
Okay.
And Dallas did a good job. First of all, the Eagles didn't score. They scored 3 points the second half. Dallas didn't score any, right?
Right.
Did Dallas not score any?
No.
Okay. So they didn't score any. So all of a sudden, everything changed in the second half. I can't blame it on the weather situation, the weather where they had a delay of game. You can blame a little bit when they came back. But they still played about about 10, 11 minutes into the third quarter, and they still really hadn't scored. Now, I'm not going to come down on Kevin Patullo because they marched up and down the field start the game in the first half.
Well, here's for me why I'm not a Kevin Patullo guy. You got a Super Bowl football team, okay? You got a brand
It's
new.
not the same team, Dan.
Okay.
It's not the same team.
Okay,
They must
so
have 20-some new players on this team. Yeah.
You're missing a guard. Okay. You're missing a guard on offense. That's what he's responsible for. He's not responsible for the defense. He's responsible. So you're missing a guard off that team. Okay. Fair enough. But for me, then, so I've got a ready-made Super Bowl offensive football team with an MVP type caliber guy. If I asked you this question, if you had to have open heart surgery, would you want a kid opening up your heart that came out of college and for his first surgery was you? I don't want inexperience when I've got an experienced football team like that. I want the best people. You went out of house last year, and look what you did. You got Vic, you got Kellen. It produced the Super Bowl.
Because I have a heart, I would give that kid my heart.
You have a heart?
Yeah. So, I would let that kid. Hey, listen, I just want to give you a break. You want to have me thank you when you're done. So let's get this thing straight. The Eagles have a new offensive coordinator all the time. It's okay because they sit down, and I think it's on Thursdays. They get together. It's Jalen Hurts, a bunch of the coaches, obviously the offensive coaches, and there's some other people I'm sure in those meetings. And hey, Jalen, what are you comfortable with? This is what we think will work. This is what we'd like to do. What are you comfortable with? And if he says he's not comfortable with certain things, they lean towards him to say, okay, you're not comfortable with that, then we're going to do it this way, and we won't do that, and we'll do this. So Jalen has a lot of say in the game plan because they want to make the quarterback comfortable with what they do. I think Kevin Patullo is a sharp guy. I do. I really do. Listen, he was, what was he, the assistant head coach last year? He's on the headphones. He's part of the game plan. He's part of the play calling before he was the offensive coordinator. I think he's fine. Players make plays. Players make plays, and they're the ones that got to make the plays.
Howard, do you, Zander said this to me a couple days ago when he was on the show with me, and he goes like this. Boy, he mentioned Andy Reid. Are we starting to see Andy Reid look like Andy Reid the last 4 years in Philadelphia? A little bit in Kansas City here, where didn't the personnel around Donovan McNabb start to fall apart a little bit? It wasn't as good personnel with Andy Reid at the last 4 years.
Meaning what? What are you trying to say?
What I'm saying is, look, they're not retooling the offensive side of the football in Kansas City right now. I couldn't name you a wide receiver they have. Who, Hollywood Brown? I mean, they don't really have – they get a run game. I mean, Freddie Pacheco, the fight doctor, is your run game guy. I mean, you end up losing 2-8 to Chicago, so you got a lesser offensive line. Kind of the stuff that happened in Philadelphia at the end. No, it was just they weren't putting offensive players around Donovan McNabb. McNabb was getting older, and the thing kind of fell apart at the end there too. I'm not saying it's falling apart yet, but this is a critical game for them here, man. They get blown out again.
Okay, and here's what they lost Landon Dickerson early in the second half. Okay, he's very important.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay, so he's important, and who knows whether he's 100%. He plays hurt all the time anyway. He's a tough, really.
I don't think he's 100% heading into this game.
No, he probably not. So they lost. They're trying. It's obvious they're trying to cut down the number of carries for Saquon Barkley. They know you can't have that number of carries. You cannot have that number of carries that he had last year. So we're trying to cut it down. They lost a running back. That's why they signed somebody. They gave up a couple of draft picks. Yeah, okay. They gave up a couple of draft picks, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
5 and 6.
I think that Shipley, who's done a nice job, he's got it, and I haven't seen the injury report yet for today, but I think he's
Limited practice for Landon Dickerson, Jalix Hunt, limited practice. Goddard Knee did not practice. Tanner McKee and Shipley did not practice.
okay with an oblique injury. I think Shipley might even be placed on some kind of injured list. You don't give up a couple of draft picks if you're only losing a guy for one game. So, and he's their second best back. He really is their second best back. So, whatever the case may be, they're not this. It's something about the team. That's why teams haven't gone to back-to-back Super Bowls. Even when you win, when you lose, you never go to back-to-back. But when you win, it's hard. It's really your team changes. Whether they've changed on defense, they've changed a lot of people. Their third receiver is different, and Dotson's done it. It's one game, but he's done a nice job. But they're weak. First of all, your defense used to give you good field position. Now, Adoree Jackson's not good, and they're going to have to figure that out. They're just not the same team. They don't have the same short fields that they had last year with the defense. So that figures into it as well. The Eagles are a good team, but they're not as good a team as they were last year, in my opinion. And I think other people would share that too.
Okay, so then let me go here with Howie Roseman. For all the things and all the great things he did with the 3 Bs and the killer Bs a year ago with Becton, Barkley, and Bond, with all the things that he hit, Howard, these guys that he brought in, look at the moves. They've made 9 moves in the last month. That tells you he likes what he has, but he doesn't like, I think, what he brought in. So, I mean, the guys that he brought in, like you said, Adoree Jackson, the guy's been garbage. The backup edge rushers, they've been like Casper the Ghost. I mean, sometimes you see them, sometimes you don't. Okay? I mean, these guys that they've brought in have not been anything to really shake a stick out of here. I mean, do you think, again, that he's do you think he's disappointed with how he built the roster this offseason?
I think he would have liked to do better. But when they who was the defensive end they brought in? Was it after the first week? Over the weekend, right after the game.
Darius Smith?
Is that who it was? Defense. So when you bring a guy in off the street,
$4 million too, he's starting.
Okay. But he came in off the street. Why? Yeah. Why was he on the street? Maybe because he wasn't good enough. So when you're still on the street after the season starts with so many teams out there, somebody needs a defensive end. So they obviously want a better pass rush, which can help the secondary too. Now you didn't have Jalen Carter, so that figured into it a little bit, but maybe they're not happy with some of the other people. So they're a good team, but they're not the same team. And that's hard when you change that many players. How do you develop a culture that quickly? If Nick Sirianni is going to talk about culture, you're going to develop a culture that quickly with all these new players. I don't think it happens that easily. You still have a core. You still have good guys. You still have Lane Johnson, who's really good in leadership roles. There's players in that locker room that are good leaders, but it's still different. It's still different.
Howard, why do you think the Chiefs are going to win this game on Sunday?
Desperation. I don't think they're the better team. There's no way they're the better team.
No.
But the best team doesn't always win the game.
Yeah.
I think they're desperate, and they have a really good coach in Patrick Mahomes. Never loses when the Chiefs are a pick or an underdog. But that doesn't make it. They're not as good a team. And right now, it bounced back and forth, but the Eagles right now are 1.5-point favorites. And I think it'll probably kind of stay there by game time. I just think because the Chiefs are desperate, knowing 0-2 is the end. Taylor Swift might go home if they're 0-2. Hey, what am I going to be here for?
You might call the wedding off if they go 0-2.
Well, I don't think they've set a wedding date, to be honest with you.
Well, hey, I'll get my wedding card back then.
They get engaged. Just she's my fiance. Okay, great. Sure. It's all fun and games right now. But I think, and Patrick Mahomes said something after the last game. we didn't have, I don't even understand this. We didn't have as much energy as the Chargers. That is disgraceful. First of all, second of all, third of all, whatever place you want to put it, too many distractions with Kansas City. There's too many distractions. We don't need the quarterback going to a college football game, even though they had days off. We don't need him. And he went to the Cincinnati, Nebraska game.
Yeah, but what about your boy Cooper DeJean hanging out Saturday night doing the hoochie dance at a bar? He's in there. There's video of him in a bar hanging out. I mean, get this. He's singing. He's having himself a grand old time. Listen, I get it. He's 21 and he's not in Ames,
Having days
Iowa.
off, I think that affects the team too, because the young guys now are the greatest thing that they've. People think they are better than they've ever been thought of before.
He's
And
not in Ames, Iowa anymore. He's in Philly. He's hanging out at the beach. He's doing the dance.
Yeah, it's not Iowa. Yeah, you're right. It's not Iowa. So he's got
Ames, Iowa.
Got it, and he's an excellent player. But sometimes there's just little things. But I can assure you, and Chiefs, hey, listen, you got what you got as far as personnel. They will be up for this game, and they will not have distractions. I don't want to see any shots of the stands. I don't want to see the players looking up into the stands for the obvious reason. That's what Andy Reid's telling them. They do what they want to do.
You mean Nick going after the fans? You don't want to see that. That's what you mean, right?
No, I actually like that. I actually shows me some emotion. I like that. He ought to show that emotion when he does a news conference. That's what I want to see, that emotion.
Well, you know what? Since you're throwing the numbers around a little bit, let me ask you this. So let me pick a game here.
Okay.
Let me go a couple games here for you here. Let me pick one.
Go ahead.
Let me pick a couple here. All right. So Tampa Bay, Houston, the Buccaneers against the Houston Texans it's in Texas.
Yep. I'm looking at the line
NRG.
here.
It's at NRG. Who do you like there?
You know what? I kind of like Houston. I like DeMeco Ryans as a head coach. Again, they're in a situation too that they're 0-1. It's important. Teams are 0-1. They play a little bit differently. I would lean towards, that's the Monday night game, right? That's the Monday night game.
There's two Monday night games. That's one of them.
Yeah, I would lean towards Houston.
Take Houston in this one here.
Yep.
Do you think the Dallas Cowboys, do you think their performance on last Thursday against the Eagles, this Giants team did not look all that hot on offense, especially with Russell Wilson? He's getting a start again.
Russell Wilson stinks. He's a fraud. He's such a fraud. He's a fraud.
You got Dallas in this one?
Yes. I mean, I don't like. It's like is it 5.5 on the road?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't like to lay the number, but Dallas, the Giants have to be better. But I don't like Russell Wilson, so I couldn't take Russell Wilson in this game. I just couldn't do it. He's just not that good. And he's been overrated. I think he's been overrated his entire career. His defense put him in great field positions so many times. In the red zone, he was never very good. But he talks a good game. Maybe because he doesn't have an office now with the Giants where he had an office before. He doesn't dictate everything now, which he did before. I mean, who knows? But I guess they're not ready to go to Dart, because once you go to Dart, it's over for Russell Wilson. You might as well go home.
Yeah,
I don't like the game because I don't like Dallas is coming off a tough game. I don't like the game, but I do. And Dallas has had a long week, so you got to look at Dallas if you look at anybody. But I'm not in love. I like Houston better than I like Dallas.
Is Buffalo the best team in the AFC?
I still think Baltimore is. They should have never lost that game. If they don't fumble, they don't lose that game. Yeah, right. Yeah. If they don't fumble, they don't lose the game. They should have never lost that game. Josh Allen is just lights out. Buffalo's really good. They are really good. I wouldn't be shocked. This is crazy to even say this. And what's the number on that game? They're playing at the Jets, right?
Buffalo's at the Jets, right? At
Okay.
MetLife. It's at MetLife.
Well, I wouldn't be shocked if the Jets won. However, I would never lay the 6.5 points. I would take the Jets in that game. I would take the Jets plus the 6.5.
Russell Wilson looked pretty good in that ball game, didn't he?
In what game?
And well, not Russell Wilson, excuse me. Justin Fields looked good in that
Justin
Steeler game.
Fields. Yeah.
He
Yeah.
looked good in that Steeler game, didn't
I
he?
would take in that game, I would probably take the points.
And you got Kansas City winning.
Yes.
On Sunday.
Not because they're the better team, because of the situation.
In a close
Kansas City, yeah, it's going to be close. If Kansas City had won the first game, I think because the Eagles were better, the Eagles would have won this game. But they can't go 0-2. They can't go 0-2. It's just maybe the Swifties will bail out on the Chiefs if they go 0-2.
Maybe the Swifties will get them. Howard, tell the folks who are you having on next? When they can watch you, okay?
All right. Saturday, I have the people join me. So it's because Saturdays people want to converse with me and they can click in to be part of the show. I had Joe West on last night, the former umpire, who he said, I said, people always hate you. He says, no, they don't hate me. People say they hated me. But he had some great stories. And I'm working on somebody for next Wednesday. So Wednesday night, 7:30 on all the social media platforms. Subscribe to YouTube. It makes it easy because then you're notified when I come on. Wednesday evening, 7:30 Eastern, and Saturday mornings at 8:00. So we'll have fun because we're going to talk about the game and people are going to be pissed off at me because I think Kansas City is going to win the game. So
39 years on the airwaves. Wow.
Yeah.
39 years. What was the greatest story?
Well, I was on the airways before that, but it pretty much one place.
What was the greatest story you ever covered in Philadelphia sports during your time on the air at IP?
There's been a few of them.
Oh, by the way, I forgot to tell you. You know who broke that story on Michael Vick coming to Philadelphia? I did. I'm going to tell you how I did this. Check it out. This is the craziest. So
what do you mean coming to Philadelphia?
When he signed with Philly, I broke that story.
Oh, so Michael Vick.
Michael Vick. Get this. So this is how I found out. A guy named Tom Shaw is a trainer down in Orlando. And my friend Crawford Kerr owned these wing houses. So I was on the air. I had my morning show in Tampa and it was also in Orlando. So they called me, Howard, and they go, it's like 11:30 in the morning. And he goes, guess who's here right now? Andy Reid's in the building right now with Michael Vick, and they're signing a contract. And I'm like, get out of here. So I had that at 11:30. I was so afraid to go on the air and break it. So I was like, well, I'm going to do it. At around 2:30 before Monday Night Football, 3:00, I'm eating pizza with my daughter, and I called it in, and I said, we're reporting that Michael Vick has just signed a contract with the Philadelphia Eagles for to play quarterback, and he's coming to Philadelphia. This was after the whole fiasco, him being in prison. Andy Reid. Guess who else was there? Tony Dungy was there vouching for him that this was going to work. And I had that story, and sure enough, the guys from Pro Football Talk, the first guy to mention it was me, and then Chris Mortensen called me, and so did the people at ESPN. They're like, unbelievable. It was like one of the greatest stories I ever had. There he was standing right in front of me, but I was so afraid. But I thought an improbable place would be Philly, and there he was.
Yeah, I was on the sidelines during the game. I had heard about it, and I reported it during the game because obviously it was out there. But I've had a lot of stories before I went to WIP. I had Julius Erving come into the Sixers.
Oh, wow. From the Nets, from the ABA?
Yeah, because they were about to merge, and there was all kinds of things that had to happen. So I had Julius Erving coming to the 76ers. People couldn't. There was so many trades. Mike Krukow tells a story. Remember Mike Krukow, the pitcher?
Yeah, for the Giants.
Okay, so
he's on the broadcast team right now for them.
Yeah, yep. And Mike will tell you the story. So I go on TV the night before, and I say the Phillies are about to make the trade, and Mike Krukow is going to be traded to the San Francisco Giants. And I said, I can't. And he heard me on the air. He got a phone call, and the next morning, before he picked up the phone, he knew what had happened. because he heard me on the air the night before. He tells that story all the time. I knew I was traded before I even picked up the phone. Not the biggest name, but there's so many trades that I had. I'd have to go back and there's probably people remember more of what I did than I do because there's so many things that happened in terms of those things. But
who was your favorite athlete to cover?
boy, that was Barkley was always so great.
Iverson?
Well, no, Charles Barkley was always fun to cover because he was so good. Julius was great. The players back then were just different. Iverson and I got along in the early years. Then we didn't get along, and then we get along now. We get along great now. It's kind of interesting. The favorite players to cover. Some players were great. Some players weren't, but it's really hard because there was a lot of good players. I'll tell you a story.
How about Reggie White? Were you and him good in good places?
Who?
Reggie White.
Oh, we were great. I still stay in touch with his wife. I still stay in touch with Reggie's wife, Sarah. Very, very nice people. Great. But I'll tell you a story. And again, this is before I was doing talk radio before. And I'll tell you this story. Ryne Sandberg would not have been a Chicago Cub if I had not made one call during a break and screwed up the original trade. I called Larry Bow wanted a new contract. So I called him during the break one night. It was before the spring training. I says, Bo, they were supposed to talk that day. I called him during a break doing talk radio for another FM station. I said, did you get a new contract? Nope. They're going to trade me. He said, what do you mean they're going to trade you? They're going to trade me. You're going to trade me to the Cubs for Ivan DeJesus.
I guess
Keith Moreland, who was a catcher, was involved in it.
Yep.
So I went, and so I said, hold on, can we go on the air? He says, yeah. So I put him on hold. We go on the air, and all of a sudden the next day, in the Phillies, Paul Owens, who was general manager, Dallas Green, who worked on him, Paul Owens was really pissed at me because the Cubs called him the next day and said, this thing is gone wild. We can't make the trade now because people love Ivan DeJesus. So they called off the trade.
Huge fan in Chicago. He was.
I know. 3 weeks later, they made the trade because Ryne Sandberg could only play second base, and because they were locked in at the other positions. So 3 weeks later, they reworked the trade, and the Phillies threw in Ryne Sandberg. If I had not gone on the air, the trade, Larry Bow and Ivan DeJesus would have been the main people in the trade, and Ryne Sandberg would have never gone to the Cubs.
Man, that is.
Think about what, and Ryne Sandberg knew that. May he rest in peace. Ryne Sandberg knew that. Bowen knows that. It's just, I'll never forget that phone call.
Who was your favorite coach or manager to cover?
In baseball?
Anyone, pick one.
Well, I liked Andy Reid. I liked Dallas Green, even though he was short as a manager. Basketball, I loved Larry Brown. Larry Brown.
I love Larry Brown.
Great coach. He was really honest.
Personable.
Yeah, he really, and we became good friends. Great guy. And he's the one that told me the way Iverson came to practice, that's what pissed off Iverson because I told the truth. So there was football. So you got football, Andy Reid, baseball, probably Dallas Green. And there was others that I really liked.
How about Pat Corral?
Pat Corrales, he got pissed at me because I said he was going to get fired.
Which he did.
He got pissed at me, and we cleared it up. And then Jim Fregosi hated me because he got Nick Leva fired. In spring training, I had a story that Jim Fregosi was lobbying for the Phillies manager's job. He was working in the organization. And I walked in the next day to spring training. He went ballistic on me, because he knew what he was trying to do. He's a backstabber. He was a backstabber. So he, obviously denied it. 16 days into the season, Nick Leva got fired and Jim Fregosi became the manager.
Man, I
it-
love that stuff, Tara. I've had the pleasure of interviewing Pat Croce. He lives down in the Keys now. He's kind of a he's an eccentric guy. How did you get
yeah,
along with him? I mean, I enjoyed talking.
I
I
did
talked
for a
to him once.
while. Yeah, I did for a while. He
Or
kind
did
of
it wear out? Did he wear out? Did he wear his
Yeah, well, Larry Brown started to get annoyed at him because whenever Larry tried to discipline Allen Iverson, Croce would go up and it was a chuckle fest. He would put his arm around him and say, "Oh, it's okay, it's okay." And he interfered in everything Larry Brown tried to do discipline wise. And that's when I went on the air with that, he did not like that. But there was a lot of guys that I got along with, but Pat Croce was an interesting guy, but he interfered with the discipline that Larry Brown was trying to. But hey, listen, he was good for a while. We got along for a while. He was good. I mean, it was a sense of it was a good feel. It was a good feel situation. Made no personnel decisions, no money decisions, no.
last one here for you. All right. Iverson, do you think that organization? I mean, look at the way they handle Embiid now, and and I know different ownership, different people in the building. I got the whole thing, I get it, but look at the way like they treated Iverson. Then, do you think they mistreated Iverson in
No,
Philadelphia? The way management was, the way they wanted him to be more of a leader, I guess. He's one of the most
they
eccentric.
just wanted him to do the right things. They
I'm an
wanted him to.
Iverson. I'm an Iverson fan, just so you know. I love Allen
You
Iverson.
know what? I'd rather have Allen Iverson than Joel Embiid before all this injury stuff because he played hard all the time. Didn't practice. We talking practice. We talking
Yeah.
practice, not a game. We talking. I was at that news conference. It was great.
God, it
It
was
was great.
great, unbelievable content.
Yeah, well, he was. I'll say this. He was. I'll just say partying with his boys earlier in that day. It was the end of the season, exit interviews, and I knew he wasn't in the great shape to come in and do that. But Allen was he was fun to watch. He was an interesting guy, and they structured the team around him. They didn't get a lot of shooters. Allen was the guy, and it was uh, it was an interesting time, and that was the last time that they got to the finals.
I thought
Uh,
he was. I thought early in his career, I thought he was better than Kobe. And then
oh no,
Kobe
yeah, I would never go that far. Well, early in his career, maybe you look at yeah,
early,
yeah,
like the first three. Because remember what they did with Kobe. Del Harris, that dumbass out there, wouldn't play Kobe Bryant early. Remember, they kept him on the bench. They would
yeah.
bring him off as a sixth man. So Iverson got out of the gate quicker.
I would, Iverson was an interesting. I was really an interesting guy, but he played. I'll give him that. He played hard. He would have probably played longer if he took
Yeah,
care of himself more.
yeah.
I mean, it was good years. Hey, the Sixers haven't even gotten to a conference final since then. That was what 2001,
Yeah.
2000, 2001.
They won
So
game two in that finals against the Lake. I think it was game two.
yeah,
They
they
won
won the
it up
first
there in
game.
LA. Oh, they
Yeah,
won the first game. They won the
yeah.
first game
I
against
think
the
they won the
Lakers.
first game. Yep. So
Yeah.
it was fun to watch all that stuff
And you
happen.
guys
But
had nobody on that team but him. I mean, there was really nobody on that team compared to that Laker team.
well, when they got Matumbo, that helped them too.
Yes,
They
that's
traded
right.
for Matumbo because they wanted to get a defensive guy at the center, and Theo Ratliff got hurt. Remembering that, but they had some good players on that team, but Iverson was obviously the catalyst for the whole thing. Yeah, there was a lot of good there was a lot of good teams.
Dude, you had a lot
Um,
of great people to cover over the years. So
oh
if you had
yeah,
to pick between Barkley and Iverson, who do you think was the more polarizing guy in Philly?
I don't think Barkley was polarizing in the sense the way I think about it.
Huh.
He did things, and
It was a
but
different time, wasn't it?
he was always um, he always took responsibility
Hmm.
for everything that he did, and he took responsibility when that situation happened in Denver. He didn't actually. He ended up when he spit on somebody, but it was a guy that was using a racial slur towards him, and that's who it was aimed at. I talked to him that night. He traveled to another city. I talked to him that night when he got to the other city, and he felt so bad, but he took responsibility for that. Took responsibility for everything he did, and not guys today. Uh, You don't find them taking. You don't find many of them taking responsibility for what they do.
Finally, here, let me throw this at you here. I got Marcus Hayes on at 5:30 today, and Angelo likes him. Do you like him? I'll check the podcast out. When's the podcast?
I'll be Nick Sirianni.
Holy cow! This is
That's it. I didn't say anything. I
Nope,
didn't
you
say
didn't.
anything.
Howard, you don't have to say anything. Silence is also a golden rule that I was taught on how you do radio. Very nice.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. My microphone. Something happened to my microphone. You didn't hear me, huh? Something happened to my microphone.
That is the best way I can determine how to end this thing here. Howard, thank you so much for your valuable time. I so appreciate you, man. Anything you need from me, please let me know. Thank you so much.
You got it. All right. Have a great one.